Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. If you remember, a couple of days ago, we looked at the Shunammite woman who had helped Elisha out by building an upper room for him to stay at whenever he was in the area. And Elisha, out of appreciation for what she and her husband had done, promised them a child, even though they were advanced in years. And sure enough, they do have the child. And one day, the child goes out uh, to the father where the reapers are, and he has a headache. He gets a headache, and the dad sends him back to his mom, and the child sits on his mom's lap and ends up passing away. And so she puts him in the upper room, goes out and seeks out Elisha, and Elisha comes, and the child is restored back to life again. And that seems to be the end of the story. It seems to be that this is just a story of tragedy, but yet a triumph in the way that God was able to restore the child's life again. And it's a tragic story that has a good ending. But in our reading today, we find that that is not the ending of the story. This resurrection of the son actually has benefits, or had benefits for the future, that the Shunammite woman would not have known about. In chapter 8 of 2 Kings, we have Elisha telling the Shunammite woman about this famine that was about to hit the land, and he tells her to go and dwell in the land of Philistia until the famine was over, and she stays there for 7 years. And then she comes back after the 7 years, and of course, a long time had passed, and she needed to be able to recover and have her house and field restored to her. Well, it just so happens that Jehoram is listening to Gehazi tell the story about her son being resurrected from the dead. At the same time that the Shunammite woman actually goes to ask Jehoram, the king of Israel, for her land back. And it's a little bit more than coincidence. This was providence actually working, because it was through this message of the resurrected son that she does end up getting her land and her house restored to her. So it says in verse 6 there, "So the king appointed for her a certain officer, saying, 'Restore all that was hers and all the produce of the field from the day that she left the land, even until now.'" And so this resurrection of the son had a future promise of restoration. The restoration of land, of produce, of her house. And she was able to enjoy her house once again, one that she had to abandon because of the famine, but now was restored to her because of the fact that her son had been resurrected from the dead. And this has a lot of similarities to our own situation, because when we think about the resurrection of the son, that is, of Jesus Christ, we could think of it as a historical event. We could look at it similar to the story that we saw with the Shunammite woman back in chapter 4, where the son dies, but then is resurrected again. And a tragic story, what seems to be a tragic story, actually has a good ending. But just as with the Shunammite woman's son, when the story was not over yet, the same is true with the Son of God, Jesus Christ. The story is not over yet. Because Jesus Christ has been resurrected again, there is the hope of a future restoration. You see, all of us are in that 7 years of famine as we live in this world. We are in the land of Philistia, if you will. As we live in the world, as we see all of the tragedy that takes place in this world, as we see all the vanity and the emptiness that we see in this world, we have a promise that one day, because of the resurrected Son, we will see all of creation restored again. As a matter of fact, in Revelation chapter 21, we have the Lord saying himself that, "Behold, I am making all things new." And the promise is that there will be a new heavens and a new earth in which the Lord will restore everything and bring everything back to life once again, even our own bodies in the resurrection. And so the resurrection of the Son, yes, is a good story. it's the good ending to what seems to be a tragic story back in history, but it also has a promise of a future hope that we have, that through the resurrection of the Son, we too will have all things restored to us again, and not only restored, but we'll even have these things in a better state. And we'll have our bodies resurrected, but not as corruptible bodies, but incorruptible bodies, not as perishable bodies, but imperishable bodies. Not ones that will die again, but ones that will live forever. And we'll also inhabit a creation that is not subjected to futility anymore, but is one in which that God's presence dwells in, and that will last forever. And so we have a resurrected Son too that gives us a future hope of restoration of all things, and we can glory in that. Always remembering, yes, the historical resurrection of Christ, but always remembering the future hope that's entailed with that. So these are some things to think about as we read 2 Kings chapter 8. And with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.